Hello everybody, my name is Necroxis, and it's time for the Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers, patch 5.5 Death Unto Dawn trailer. It comes out in 2 weeks, on April 13th, and I am so excited for it. Final Fantasy XIV has quickly become my favorite MMO of all time, and if you compare the state of Shadowbringers of Final Fantasy XIV and Shadowlands of World of Warcraft, let's just say, goddamn, can this patch please come out as soon as possible. So, this is the 0.5 patch of the expansion cycle for Final Fantasy XIV. And if you don't know much about Final Fantasy XIV's development cycle, there are a total of 6 patches in every expansion. There's the 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, and then those 3 will wrap up the main story beats of the expansion. And then there's 0.4, 0.5, and 0.55. And those will begin introducing and then crescendoing into the events of the next expansion. So, last patch was patch 5.4. It ended with introducing a lot of elements that they're going to be wrapping up in the world, because if you also didn't know, Endwalker, the next expansion for Final Fantasy XIV, is kind of going to be wrapping up the major story arc that we've been going through for almost 10 years for this game, and then starting another one. So, 5.4, they were introducing some stuff to clean up some loose ends in the story, very satisfyingly, don't mistake me. But it ended with all these towers coming up in Eorzea, and basically the end game of the story arc beginning. So I assume patch 0.55 is going to be crescendoing into that. We're going to be going full force into basically what's the end of the world, is what Endwalker seems to be, and then us going to the moon. So I assume we're going to be seeing more of battles and stuff like that, and hopefully less Xenos and more Fandaniel, because Xenos sucks, and he's the least interesting villain they could have kept around until the end. But you know, the writers are amazing in this game, so hopefully they'll still pull something out with Xenos that's great. I'm sure that they will. I just personally, out of all the villains in the game, Xenos is probably my least favorite, outside of like La Habrea, who was such a cartoonish villain before they started writing the story very well. So here we go. Patch 5.5 trailer. It's called Death Unto Dawn. Let's start it in 3, 2, 1, now.
Peggy 16.
Yeah, I get it, Creative Business Unit 3.
Our adversary moves against us in unprecedented numbers, compelling us to answer.
Fordola?
The outlook, in short, is bleak. Yet though our foes are many, and we but few,
Where is that, Silvertear Falls?
we may still tip the balance in Eorzea's favor.
Oh, Alphino. You're great. Look at that airship!
Given the enemy's capabilities, we will all need to play our part if we are to have any chance of success.
Is that...
But if any here should give less than their best, it will be to the cost of
Okay.
every living being on this star.
They're curing the Amalja of the taints, or of the...
You've got a pretty narrow view of what it means to be a hero, do you know that? You think they're all forged in the fires of battle? That it's all about being brave and killing villains?
Oh, of course they'd bring Fordola back! This is the near shit. Oh, I got chills when I saw, like, the art style shift.
I know you would never turn your back on those in need. Never close your eyes to their suffering.
Diamond weapon!
What in Ralga's name happened here?
The battlefield's littered with would-be heroes.
Why is she in there?
At this rate, you'll lot be next.
Tiamat!
Destroy them! Destroy them all!
Fordola's fighting Ifrit. Odin.
Don't you dare!
Ravana.
We came together and we're leaving together.
Tiamat's fighting Lunar Bahama, dude.
While I await you, I shall drink a sea of souls and gorge myself upon the darkened moon.
Look at that fucking image. All the world leaders. Lise, Kian, the Alliance leaders, fucking Amaric. Oh my god. They are doing shit that I didn't even think that they would. So first of all, they have Fordola, who's immune to the God, it's been a couple of months since I played it. What the fuck is it called? The influence of the primals. So of course, when what I presume is like primal or lunar Ifrit, that's what that's what Fandaniel brought back, was a lunar version of Bahamut. I don't know how he did it. I assume that will be explained eventually, but of course, Fordola, who's immune to their influence, would be used. Such a minor character from Stormblood 2 expansions ago that they bring back in a way that makes perfect sense. And Tiamat, oh my god, what a minor character from Heaven's Ward 3 expansions ago. So the story of Tiamat is she's a very powerful dragon. She's the daughter of Midgard-Sormr, who's the sire of all dragons. I'm trying to make this more general in case you don't know the Final Fantasy XIV world. So in Final Fantasy XIV's world, in the continent that we play on, Eorzea, Bahamut, who is a very, very famous Final Fantasy franchise dragon, in Final Fantasy XIV's version of him, he was stuck inside a moon, and the Garleans, which are basically the evil empire, which most Final Fantasies have, brought the moon down, crashed it on Eorzea, and Bahamut came out and like destroyed the entire continent almost. And that's how they explained away the revamp between 1.0 and 2.0. But we find out that Bahamut was not actually the real Bahamut. The real Bahamut was Tiamat's brother, and he died way before. The Bahamut that we saw is like the primal version of Bahamut, and what that means is throughout this whole game, we've been seeing primals, which are like basically Final Fantasy summons. Ifrit, Shiva, Ixion, Ramu, all of these summons. But they're not like the actual real creatures. They're like the manifestation of the wills of their followers, which is why throughout the storyline, you've seen Titan show up like 5 times now. It's not the real Titan. It's like the will of Titan's followers who are all mind-controlled to be following him. So, we find out in Heaven's Ward that the Bahamut that crashed into Eorzea was not the real Bahamut. It was Tiamat, her brother. Bahamut was also a son of Midgard-Sormr, the sire of all dragons. But Tiamat gets captured by humans and basically imprisoned and experimented on in this floating continent. Details are not important, really, for the story that I'm about to tell. But you have a conversation with her in Heaven's Ward, and she explains like her hatred and her rage manifested itself in that version of Bahamut being summoned. So when Fandaniel now in the current times brings back a Bahamut, of course we go and get Tiamat, who tells us like she regrets that her hatred and anger allowed this corrupted version of her brother to come into existence. So of course we get her and we free her with Estinian. I didn't comment on it, but that was Estinian standing in front of her. And we get her to fight fucking Lunar Bahamut. Oh my god, that's such good writing. Payoff for shit that you didn't even think was being set up 3 expansions ago with Tiamat. That's amazing. Everything with like the Nier raid's going to be fantastic. The first 2 wings have been amazing so far. That gigantic airship did not look like Garlean airships of the Empire. Is that like the Alliance's first like airship that Cid builds? Because it looks very different from what the Empire airships look like. So maybe the Alliance of Eorzea finally are like building their own airships, because that's been like a major contention in the storyline these last 4 expansions is the Empire has such better technological capabilities than the Alliance of Eorzea, which consists of all the nations like Gridania and Ul'dah and all these other places, and they eventually get added onto, which is why you see Hien of the Far East, which is like the Stormblood expansion. You see Amaric of the North, which is from the fucking Heaven's Ward expansion. You hear about Gaius, his whole storyline is he's like the defector of the Empire that you fight in 2.0. It's like, I am so excited to see how they conclude Shadowbringers, because what an amazing 10 out of 10 MMO expansion Shadowbringers has been, and this seems to be no different. I'm super excited. I really want to try and record my reactions to everything because I feel like it's gonna be fucking good. But I will strongly recommend again, if you are not playing Final Fantasy XIV, what the fuck are you doing? The entire vanilla game and the entire first expansion are free to play. And then if you just want to buy, if you have a good time and you want to buy the second and the current expansion, it's like $40 together for both of them. It's like the cheapest shit. You can spend $40 and buy the whole game, and I believe they also give you 30 days of game time, but I'm not 100% on that, so don't quote me. But what an amazing experience. By far the best storyline you'll ever find in any MMO ever. Blows WoW fucking out of the water 1,000 times over in terms of the storyline, the consistency of the writers, the realness of the characters, the badass moments that are earned and don't feel like they're just twists for twist's sake. God, please try out Final Fantasy. Like, it's so amazing, and it deserves so much more. I believe I've been seeing some reports between Final Fantasy XIV's numbers and WoW's numbers that 14 has overcome WoW in terms of subscriptions, but it's kind of rumors at this point, but I would not be surprised with how shoddy Shadowlands has been versus how amazing Shadowbringers is. So please, if you want to try something else, if you're burned out on WoW, or you're looking for something else to play, or you're like on spring break and you're like, hey, I need something to play, get Final Fantasy XIV right now. You can play the whole vanilla game for free. There's no restrictions. I believe literally it's just like you can't hoard a super amount of gold or something, but gold/gil in this game. Gil's really not super important anyway, so it doesn't matter. But I'm excited. 2 more weeks, actually like a week and a half, but man, what a trailer. Super hype. I'm glad they had Alphino being the narrator because he's going to be a main character in the next expansion. Well, he's kind of always a main character, but he's going to be front and center next expansion. He becomes one of the new jobs, the Sage. And I wonder if that's born out of stuff that happens in this expansion, because you can even see in this trailer, he seemingly fails to heal somebody in time and they die, and he's upset with himself about it. So maybe that goes to explain why he embraces this new healer job / class in the next expansion. I don't know. But thanks for watching, everyone. I'm so excited for this. I don't know what else to say. Play Final Fantasy XIV, man. It's amazing. Thanks for watching. Farewell.